What's going on, everyone? It is Friday, February 18th, and today we have a very special episode of the Volleyball Source podcast. If you'll notice, the setting is a little different, and today we have a guest. The freshly back from Europe, the one, the only Mr. Dan Manili, FiveOneVB. Dan, it's good to have you back in Canada.
Everett, it's so nice to be back, and there's no more fitting person to do a podcast with, which the home of Canadian volleyball, right here.
Well,
Everett. So it's nice to be back. Yeah. So, hey to everyone watching, finally back from Canada. I guess this is my first probably podcast or any kind of content I've done since I've been back. So it'll be good to get back on the mic. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's fitting since the last podcast you did in person in Canada was with me.
Probably the last podcast I did in person was probably with you.
Not February. That's right now. November of 2019. That was the last time we did the pod.
Good memory. Yeah, lots of online podcasts.
Yeah,
nothing in person.
A lot of stuff online. But yeah, today we are going to be talking about the CEV Champions League quarterfinal drawing of the lots. This morning, the top 8 men's and women's teams went into their respective pools, and we picked out the Champions League draws to determine the quarterfinals. And I mean, Dan is the perfect person to talk about this because you've been there for those drawing of lots, and you've ran a couple of them, so you know exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah, so I've been in there in person, behind the scenes in the studio for the last couple, supporting everyone from afar on this one. Great show they put on this morning. Shout out to Maya Polyak, who was the addition to the team. Did a great job, her and Federico. But yeah, let's break down the matchups, because that's what we're here for, to discuss the teams. Because it's been an interesting season of Champions League so far, Everett.
You're not wrong. Let's start with the women, because that's what we have up there. The 4 teams, 3 teams from Russia, 2 from Italy, 2 from Turkey, and 1 from Poland, if I'm correct. Yeah, that looks about right. Quarterfinal number 1, you've got the all-Russian showdown. The Dynamo Akbars out of Kazan against Dynamo Moscow. And I mean, Dynamo Moscow only in 4th place so far in the Superliga for Russian women, but making the surprise push all the way to the finals, making it ahead of Novara, which is a little controversial. Moving into this one, quarterfinal number 2, we've got the all-Italian quarterfinal, and of all of them, I think this is the one that I have to be the most excited for. We just saw it a couple weeks ago. It's going to be Monza against Canigliano. A lot on the line for both of these teams. Of course, Canigliano going to defend their championship, defend their Champions League title. They want to do it one last time before they lose, potentially lose Agonu. Nothing's official yet, but since it sounds like Agonu's going to be going to Vakufbank next year. One more. It sucks that there's only going to be one Italian team left in the competition after this. Quarterfinal number 3, you've got the developers Rajov against Vakufbank Istanbul. That one should be pretty straightforward. And then finally rounding out the quarterfinals, we got Lokomotiv Kaliningrad against Fenerbahce Istanbul.
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, a couple interleague matchups between Kazan, Moscow, Monza, Canigliano, which, like you said, are probably a little easier to analyze because we've seen these teams play each other before, and like you said, yeah, it definitely makes it interesting that Monza's coming into this with a win. For me, though, I actually kind of like getting the interleague matchups out of the way in the first round, because really? in the Champions League, especially between the Polish, Russian teams, we're going to see the teams from the same league face off. It's inevitable. These are the best leagues in the world. But yeah, I like getting them out of the way because for me, the spirit of Champions League is more of an interleague competition throughout Europe, different leagues facing off against each other. So the sooner we get those high profile matches between the teams, the better. That being said, the Italy versus Russia round, a match in the second round, I don't know. Yeah, it's not. It seems like a bit of an easier path to the finals for Canigliano for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, I think Kazan's going to be able to take that first match over Moscow. I mean, I think we need to address it a little bit. If you're a fan of the 9x9 and watch Robin I on Tuesday nights, well, first of all, thank you. But you're also aware of the situation. Essentially, what has happened is that Dynamo Moscow was alongside. I think they're in Pool D alongside Novara. They had originally forfeited a match. And when they forfeited the match, Navarro decided to play theirs. They played with only 9 players, lost that, ended up losing that match. But retroactively, the CEV decided to uncancel that game for Dynamo Moscow. And they were able to play it, and they were playing Liberec, so they got the win regardless. And it kind of messed everything up for that team in that pool because, I mean, if you were Navarre in that situation, they would have liked to have postponed that match. They played and lost one of their matches with only 9 players against THY Istanbul. So a bit of controversy having Dynamo Moscow in that quarterfinal. And I mean, hey, if we had Navarre there, like imagine a Navarre against Conigliano, like that would have been a fun matchup. Navarre against Dynamo Kazan.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things to unpack. On the one hand, with COVID cancellation stuff, there's no winners. It just sucks for everyone. It's hard to please everyone. On the second hand, Navarre still had the chance. They still had the opportunity, which you guys discussed on your show. That they were still in control of their own destiny at the end of the day. So you can't get too mad at them for that kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, yes, I would have liked to see Navarra versus Conigliano because that's an all-time classic, a rematch of the 2019 Super Finals. So that's always good. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think that would necessarily change the final match because I still think Conigliano is clearly the better team this season.
Yeah, but that being said, I mean, I said it on the 9x9 on Tuesday that I don't think it's a gimme against Navarre going in this.
It's not a gimme. It's not a gimme.
Against
Yeah.
Monza. Monza has been playing elite level volleyball recently. They just got the win against Scandici. They beat Conigliano a couple weeks ago, and since that time, they went out and picked up arguably one of the best players in the world in Jordan Larson, right? So I think if you're Monza, you're coming into this one with a full head of steam. Like even Conigliano, they got the win against Busto last weekend. Didn't look great.
Yep.
Right? They didn't look super duper dominant against a Busto team that looked kind of average, and they just don't have the legs that they did last season. So I don't know. It's a toss up. I would almost pick Monza in this one. Like if the money line is favoring Conigliano in this one, and Monza is the underdog, I'm gonna bet on the underdog for this one because I trust this Monza team. Like watching them play, watching them work together, like watching Dana Retke dominate the way that she has over the past few weeks.
Yeah, Retke has definitely changed the dynamic of that team. And I don't know though. Like you said, I think Monza's a very good team. Definitely one of the best teams in Italy, and hopefully, I mean, for years to come, they seem to be a great program they're running over there. Jordan Larson, okay, she'll come in, but who do you see her replacing in the starting lineup? Who's she replacing? Who are the starters on the outside hitter?
Recently, they've been going with Gennari and Daviskiva.
Yeah.
Right? And so Rob and I did break it down on Tuesday. Okay. And due to like having Alessia Oro and then their middles and libero, they have they can play 2 foreigners on the outside. Yeah. Right? So they can have the foreigner in the opposite and then the 2 foreigners on the left side as well. And then the one in the middle. Yeah. So it's a toss up really, right? So I personally think you're going to go with Gennari because Gennari's ball control is a little bit better, and that's what you're going to need for them. You're going to want to be able to release Retke early, really establish her in the middle in the offense, and then allow for those balls to go outside. Because I mean, you got Magdalena Stysiak and Lisa Van Hecke on the right side, so you've got 2 good options on the opposite side. No matter what, you've got good options down the middle. And Alicia Oro is one of the best setters in the world too. Yeah. So
well, it's interesting because they have all these options, offensive options, which we've seen recently. That's not really the best teams in women's volleyball. Aren't funnily enough, aren't teams with a lot of offensive options. They're teams that play really solid defense, serve well, pass well, and feed it to the opposite. And that's been most Magdalena Stysiak teams throughout her career as well. So this will be interesting to see how all these pieces fit together come playoff time when defenses are tightening up a bit. But I still think, Monza's a great team, but I still think Conigliano, maybe one thing you're underrating is that they don't really give that much of a shit until the playoffs. Like they're tired.
You're not wrong.
This has been the same team essentially for the last X number of years, they know what they need to do. They know how to play playoff volleyball. They've been at this for a long time. They had this 73 win streak. I remember we talked to some players on the team, and like they were taking that win streak very seriously. They weren't partying. They weren't doing all this stuff. They were, so I feel like after the win streak, they released some tension. So I think they'll tune it back up when the Champions League playoffs comes back, and Robin de Cruyff comes back, and it's time to go.
Yeah, I do think de Cruyff is going to be an essential piece of the puzzle there for Canigliano. I don't disagree with what you said there, though, and I think I've talked about it before too, about how it's similar to like when the Bulls went on those amazing runs, Golden State went on those amazing runs.
Yeah, exactly.
Once you do something like that, you don't necessarily want to do it again, right? Yep. They went 76-0. You don't want to do that again. The pressure of having to go into, like, you don't want to go into a game against Trentino if you're Canigliano and have to stress about not losing.
Right, exactly.
Right? You just kind of want to go in and be like, hey, whatever. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Right? So, yeah, I do agree with that. But, man, I think Monza's looking good right now. I think they've been tooling up in all the right ways. I do think it's funny, though. I'm not sure if you heard this rumor about how Isabel Haak has signed with Canigliano for next season. Allegedly, she signed for 20% less than what she was getting at Vakifbank this year. Now, Monza offered her that full salary, and she turned down Monza and went to Canigliano for 20% less.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder why that is. I mean, Canigliano, I guess, more of a storied program, if you can say that. They've been quite good for the last few years. All these players talk to each other. She probably knows the culture, the coaching staff, everything between the two teams. So I'm sure there's personal reasons, and I can understand why Hawk wants to play in Italy, though, because I think there's still a huge draw to Italy, even though Turkey is a great league.
Absolutely. Maybe
it's a little less deep. There's not quite as much volleyball history. Great fans, great league, but yeah, I think there's still something, even for the men too. I think there's still something special about the Italian league that still attracts a lot of players, and she's probably heard about it from all her buddies. come play in Italy, come play in Italy, come play in Italy, and that. I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up going, to Canigliano. But again, what happens to Paolo Igano? It's funny sometimes the top teams of volleyball just trade players for, on the outside. It seems like almost no reason.
It's weird how we do that, eh? It's just like, honestly, I think it's partly because we have this random ass transfer window that's in the middle of the season, and people are already setting up their teams for next season while playing right now. I think as North Americans, that's very, very foreign to us.
And the level of volleyball reporting is so low that like contract numbers aren't ever announced. Contracts we don't know until sometimes after the player shows up to report for training camp, right? So yeah, it's a bit of a guessing game, but sometimes that's more fun.
Looking at the first matchup, the All Russia one against Kazan and Moscow, do you know much about these teams? To be honest, I haven't watched much of them this year.
Yeah, not a ton to be honest.
So I mean, looking at the stats here, Goncharova was 5th overall for scoring for Dino Kazan. And Goncharova's still going. What a legend day! Yeah. Who's more of an impactful figure in the Russian volleyball world in terms of being a legend? Are we like Maxim Mikhailov or Natalia Goncharova?
I want to say probably Goncharova.
Really?
I mean, Mikhailov's an absolute legend, and he has the Olympic gold.
That's I would lean the other way. I'd lean back towards Mikhailov because of the Olympic gold.
I can see it.
But yeah, Goncharova sitting in 5th in scoring, and then on the other side you've got Samantha Fabrice in 12th for the Dynamo Akbars. So is
and Bricio as well, yeah.
Bricio as well. So you got Bricio and Fabrice for that Kazan team. I believe they're sitting in 1st or 2nd right now. They're 1st right now in the Russian league. Kaligrad's sitting in 2nd.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, and I mean, after all the Russian teams underperformed last year, was there even a Russian team that qualified for the playoffs last year? Anyway, very underperforming. I haven't really been able to trust the Russian teams recently. I don't know. They haven't seemed to really get back to that elite level that they had maybe in the mid 2010s. So I feel like they both had easy pools getting into the playoffs. I really don't trust either of them to take it very far against either Italian team that makes it out of this, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. Also, real quick, Oh, sorry, no, you go for it.
One more player on Kazan that, a great Russian prospect, was kind of playing with Fedorov, Steva, and the rest of them this summer. Tatiana Kadochinkina, 2003. It's kind of similar to Fedorov, Steva, just 18-year-old, super tall, super powerful. So she's a really good player to watch on Kazan if you haven't heard of her before.
It seems to me like we're about to step into, like, we've got this golden age of older players, like Zhu Ting is finishing up, and Jordan Larson is towards the end of his career, but it seems like we've got this younger generation of women that are coming through. Like, we talked about Fedorovtseva. There's that Ekaterina Antropova who's playing for Scandici this year and has that dispute between whether she's going to play for Russia or Italy. Of course, Kira Van Rijk here in Canada. There's just these athletes that are coming through right now.
Even Agano and Boskovic aren't that old.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
They're like under 25 still.
So like
absurd to hear.
I feel like we're about to step in like very much into a golden age of women's volleyball internationally.
Especially like at the opposite in outside hitter position, Fedorov, Steva, Alexa Kavartasu. Like it's unbelievable. Like I feel like you almost have like 10 of the top like 50 women's volleyball players are like under the age of between the ages of 18 and 25. Like it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Moving on to quarterfinal number 3. I think this one is pretty straightforward. I think Rezhov has done a fantastic job to get over the hump. I felt last year's Champions League they underperformed a little bit, right? They lost.
You're just saying that because they had
Kier. but yeah, I mean I think so. But they also lost to Schwerwin.
Yeah,
they lost to Germany, the German team early on. They went 0-3 in the first. Week of Champions League, and they won a match at the end to kind of mess everything up, but doing a good job they did have an easy pool, but to win their pool and move on. But hey, you're taking on Isabel Hack, one of the top scorers this year in the Champions League, slotting in at 6th, one of the top scorers last year, and that just monstrous Vakuf Bank squad, the defending World Club champions. Like right now, I think it's hard to say that they're not the favorite heading into the playoffs here at the Champions League.
Well, I hate to sound like a broken record because me and Rob discussed it infinite number of times last season on the European Volleyball Show, and it ended up being the case. But Canadiana versus Vakuf Bank is looking like quite likely right now. I mean, Fenerbahce and I think Monza are probably going to give them a bit of a harder run than perhaps their opponents last year, but still like. Vakuf Bank and they're hungry too. They want that Champions League title after what happened last year, right with Caneliano up until that 5th set. And you can tell Isabel Hawk very hungry right now. Is this the best scoring season like ever like in Champions League? Like it's got to be up there, almost 7 points per set on really good efficiency as well. She looks really good. Her serve is unreal this year as well. Vakuf Bank, what can we say? They have the continuity. They have the talent.
And I
think it's going to be a walk in the park against Reshov, to be honest.
Oh, no. Yeah, I don't doubt that whatsoever. I do feel like that Vakuf Bank, they made some moves. For example, like bringing in Chako Bogu, I think was a huge move for them.
Yeah.
Just really solidifying some things down the middle. But, I think... Let's be honest. If you're a Vakuf Bank or a Turkish fan, it's championship or bust here.
Oh yeah,
it really truly is. And how much of a feather in their cap would it be? Like, hey, we won the Champions League before we got a Gonu, right? Canigliano, they lost to they couldn't. Oh wait, no, they did win it. Did Canigliano beat or lose to Navarra?
So Navarra won with Agano.
With Agano.
So no non-Agano team has won since 2018.
That's crazy. So can Vakuf Bank be the first team? But that's why I really think that the second most important match of Champions League this year is Monza versus Canigliano. I think that there's only 2 teams based on the draw that there is right now. There's only 2 teams that can beat Canigliano. One of them is Monza because we've seen it before and they've done it, and the other one obviously is a Vakuf Bank. But I do feel that if they get into right now Canigliano isn't deep, right? Like that's not a deep roster. And
no, absolutely
to win the Scudetto in Italy is going to take you a lot more than it is to win the Sultan League in Turkey, right?
Yep.
Like they're not on cruise control in domestic play, but they're almost on cruise control. FiveOneVB is. We know that like Canigliano lives and dies by Aganu.
So you're not believing in Fenerbahce, is what you're saying? Because I think you might be underrating Fenerbahce a bit. I like FiveOneVB. I think on a good day, FiveOneVB is like good enough to.
Yeah, but what does she have around her?
Yeah.
Right? Like you're talking about FiveOneVB where it's just like, oh, like maybe Isabel Hawk isn't working. Well, let's just go to Gabby. Let's just go to Michelle Barch-Hackley. You know, let's just like.
Maybe, but the same. I
like
don't know.
FiveOneVB is elite.
When do you think the last game that Isabel Hawk hasn't been the leading scorer of FiveOneVB?
Oh, that I.
When is the leading scorer of FiveOneVB Gabby? I feel like they live and die by Isabel Hawk, but she just almost never has a bad game.
But I think that's because of what's around her. Isabel Hawk has one job and one job to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She's not an emotional leader on that team. She's not a leader on that team in it by any means when you've got the athletes that they do around her, right? She's there to bang balls.
Yep.
In terms of, and I'm not saying that she blocks very well. Like she's a very good volleyball player. Like I am not at all painting her with the brush of the dumb, the big dumb right side.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, when you look at that rest of that roster, she has one job and one job to do because everyone else takes care of their job. Whereas,
that's the same with Caneliano. Or at least last year, maybe a bit less this year with Plummer, but yeah.
That's what I think. Like if you look at them, like they struggle with that P2 position,
yeah.
Right? Like on the left side, like Scylla hasn't been the player that she's been. Plummer has been hot and cold. She's not developing into the player that people were thinking that she was going to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Megan Courtney's like swinging at like under 30% on the season, right? So
they miss Kim Hill. They miss Kim Hill for sure.
They absolutely miss Kim Hill, and I think Tommy even said that in the chat.
I mean, Kim Hill I interviewed her after the super finals last year, and I was like, that's like, I guess she had announced her retirement before that, but yeah, I was like, damn, like her retiring is really going to change the dynamic of that team, not just on the court, but she was also like a hugely important emotional leader as well.
Absolutely, right.
Like really like brought like a lot of fun to the team, but also a lot of like emotional maturity because she's a little older. She had been to like, all these Olympics, all these big events,
Former
and
world championship MVP.
And Caneliano's always going to be a fun team because it's Aganu and it's Joanna Volage. They like to have fun, but also like they need players to keep it serious. Whereas like younger players like Catherine Plummer, you think Catherine Plummer is going to tell Aganu like, hey, like you're like swinging into the block, or hey, like can you've missed 4 serves in a row, can you change it up a bit? Absolutely not.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So that's why, like, I don't know. I'm really doubting. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Canigliano fall in the quarterfinals. I really wouldn't be.
Yeah, I still think Fenerbahce though. I think that they have a shot here as well, and they're gonna run over Kaliningrad. That's again not enough. The first round matches here aren't the strongest.
You think that like Fenerbahce is gonna run over Kaliningrad?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, who does Kaliningrad have? Like Smarzek?
Yeah, I like Smarzek though.
I like her too, but is she comparable to FiveOneVB? When the best Russian player on the court is playing for the non-Russian club, I don't know.
The foreigner limit in Russia really hinders them in Champions League, eh?
It does,
because they're not like, and I noticed that in Russia, maybe a little bit more on the men's side, but definitely not on the women's side, that they don't stack up foreigners like other people do. Mm-hmm. They have their 2 or 3 foreigners. What is it? 2 in Russia, I think.
2.
They have their 2 foreigners, and that's it.
Well, and a lot of the best Russians play outside of Russia. FiveOneVB, Lazareva, like all these girls play outside of Russia. Whereas all the best Russian players. When's the last time an elite Russian player on the men's side? You think Mikhailov's going to go play in Trentino?
No, I guess you're right.
No,
hey?
Absolutely not.
It's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah,
interesting for sure about how the Russian women leave, but the Russian men they all stay. I wonder if they get like a bonus.
I'm not sure. I mean, the Russians aren't the most talkative players. I don't know if you've noticed.
Really,
they're not going to.
Fair enough.
I think the only thing what the Russian guy did was Oleg Stoyanovsky. He's a nice guy.
Oh yeah, I like Stoyanovsky.
Yeah.
The big tall 7-footer.
Yeah. Not had the best run the last couple of years, but
No, I mean he won the World Championships in 2019, but since then they haven't really been able to do anything. They are the only team. If we want to touch on the beach real quick, I think they are the only team that can actually compete with the beach volley Vikings.
Yeah,
you know, not
we
like,
saw them in the finals.
Yeah,
again
not,
this year.
Not on a fluky level. One thing, just looking at here, you know, you're looking at Isabel Hawk, how she's averaging 6.62 points per set, but Arina Fedoritseva just right behind her at 6.4.
I'm telling you, Fedoritseva is a absolute stud. Like I put her up there right now, like right up with Iganu and Hawk. Like she's in that tier of me, and also can pass. So
she's up there with the Iganu and Hawk tier.
Yeah, for sure. Fedoritseva is like top 5 women's volleyball player,
like up there with Boscovich.
Yeah,
Hawk.
She's in that club.
Hawk,
she's in that club. Yeah.
Who rounds out the
Iganu, Iganu, Hawk, Boscovich. Oh, who's the 5th player?
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, I feel like it's a big 4.
Okay.
After that, it drops off.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see it. Now, what day are these matches?
Kira Van Rijk.
Okay. Even I, and all of my homerism would not go. I did add her into as a honorable mention in my top 12.
Okay.
But I mean, I think Kira Van Rijk had a good season last year.
She's good. Yeah.
She was top 5 in scoring in VNL. Like, you know.
Quick aside before, was she going to be the best Canadian women's player of all time?
I mean, you still have a certain person by the name of Sarah Pavin who played for Team Canada.
True.
Albeit in its worst period ever. And then on the other side, you still have Alexa Gray, who's top 3 in scoring right now.
True.
Made the run to the semifinals of Champions League, like right now. Like
she was a bit of a later bloomer, though.
Yes and no. I think. I mean, I like what? Like when she was in university, she brought BYU to a Final Four.
True. But her pro career didn't really launch completely until.
I feel like
maybe I'm off base on this a little bit.
I feel like she's been in.
I feel like last year was maybe her like big breakout season.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, she was one of the best leagues or women in the league last year, right?
Yeah, for sure. With Busta, yeah.
Like if she hadn't been injured, like having Alexa Gray and Kira Van Rijk playing for Team Canada this summer, that would have been great. Yeah, I mean, she did come out. She played in Korea, and then like for a lot of lesser clubs here.
Yeah.
Almost like second tier clubs. Like, yeah. Soferato.
Casamaggiore, they're quite good in the past. Maybe not recently, but
yeah,
they won Champions League, what, in 2015 or 16?
Yeah. Something like that. But yeah, so I mean, I still think that right now, if you're going to have to crown like a best Canadian indoor player of all time, I think you still have to give it to Sarah Pavin. After that, Alexa Gray. But Kira Van Rijk definitely has that ability to work her way into that one. Anything else you have to say here for the women's quarterfinals, Dan?
Not too much. Just that I think it's going to be not the best quarterfinals, but semifinals. And I think what we have to remember for Champions League, it's not a do or die. It's not win or go home. It's two matches, right? So. I think that maybe favors a stronger team, which is why maybe I'm a little bit higher on like a Caneliano and you know some of the which I think is a bit better team. So maybe if it was a one match, then it would be a little less close. But you know I like it with I like the stronger team. I still think it's going to be Vakifbank versus Caneliano, and I wish I could be at that match, but fortunately this year probably not.
I think I'm going to call... You know what? I'm going to go Monza. I'm going to go Monza Vakifbank.
All right.
That's my call on it.
All right. Shall we move on to the men?
Yeah, I think we should move on to the men. And I mean, when you messaged me this morning, you asked, what do you think of the draws? And I said, not so high on the women's one, but I do like the men's draws. And I do, because I think that we're going to be getting some banger semifinals, and even some of the quarterfinals are going to.
This almost seems too good of a draw. Like
you're not wrong.
I feel like there's always one match in Champions League or one round that's like, okay, like it's obvious, or you're like, damn, I can't believe like these teams are meeting in the first round. This is like, yeah, this is straight bangers all the way through. This is like the Coachella of like Champions League. Like
okay, the Coachella. I do think that not only are all of these, not only is I think that they're appropriate matchups, but I do think that every single one of them has enough intrigue in it.
Yeah, there's so many micro storylines for sure.
There's so many micro storylines, but like Zenit St. Petersburg, where are they at with their injuries and everything going on? What kind of roster are they going to have out there, right? To go up against the best team in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, this is probably the most lopsided. Zenit St. Petersburg, like you said, probably one of the biggest like what ifs. I mean, like, can you imagine if they have Victor Poletaev this entire season? Like, it could be a completely different team, right?
I don't know. I'm still not sold on Poletaev.
No, he's absolutely incredible player when he's healthy. But yeah, you're right. Like, pretty much their entire roster has been out at some point, right?
Yeah, and like, you know, even this week earlier when they were playing Brazil, Earnout started as libero, and then after they brought in Grebenikov, like, there's just weird things happening at ZSP. I saw some fans calling for Samuello to be sacked, to be fired, which I think is a little extreme. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, neither of us is going to bet against Perugia. But if ZSP is at full force, if they've got their team, I think it could be fun. I think it could be a good one.
Yeah, and yeah, they're probably like healthier than they have been in the past. I mean, is anyone injured for them right now?
Perugia?
No, for ZSP.
Well, I don't know. Like, we haven't. When's the last time we saw Poletaev? He didn't play against Berlin this week.
Yeah, he played. He played on the 12th.
Oh,
so he played in the last Russian league match. Yeah.
Okay.
Hit 20 for 40.
I wonder if they just looked at the standings and was like, "Yo, look, we don't really need you for Champions League, right? We're either going to finish first or we're going to finish second, and if we finish second, we're moving on regardless."
Yeah, true.
Right? Because even going into their last game yesterday, the day before, like, they were statistically fine. Like, you know, it didn't matter. So maybe they're doing a little bit of load management there with Poletaev.
I think they probably are, and they're probably saving him for this match. I think this could be interesting. I'm kind of talking myself into Zenit St. Petersburg a little bit more. You have Grebenikov, which is going to negate a lot of the serving powers. Like, would you say probably the best jump serve passer in the world? Maybe top 5 jump serve passer.
I would put top 5 for sure. I just think
maybe Shoji Zatorsky a bit ahead of him, but
yeah, I think that if St. Petersburg can block Perugia well, and then like Grebenikov can chase some things down to the back row, then they can make things very interesting. Klika on the left and Poletaev on the right. Is Kozbar going to be setting for them?
Yeah.
Kobzilla, you think he's going to get the start?
Yep. Yeah, I think Kobzar, he's in.
Okay, fair enough. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to both pick Perugia because you'd be insane not to.
I mean, the best team in Italy. After maybe a slow like first half of the season, Wilfredo Leon is back on his grind.
He is.
I think he's improved his hitting percentage by like 10% since like November, something crazy like that. He's been hitting insane the last couple months.
It must be nice for him to finally have a setter, eh?
I know. Well, it took a while actually for him and Gino, any new setter and hitter, and despite all his skill, I think Leon does kind of require a different setting style than a lot of players.
This is the exact same thing that if I'm going to be Everett and bring it back to Canada for a second. This is the exact same thing I've been saying about Shawan Vernon Evans for a while. Is that he's a different style of player and that you don't just run them in system. Like Leon needs a higher set. Maybe not as fast, maybe a little bit slower. You need to get it up to him for him to be able to be successful. Yeah,
maybe it's because he played in Russia for so long, and that's how they always ran things. And also, he's a player who kind of likes to see the block. Mm-hmm. Like he likes to scout it out. He always knows his hitting percentage. That's funny. I remember we did a podcast with him for like Champions League. He's like he looks at the stats every game. He's like he said he's aiming for 65% like every game. That's his goal.
That's gnarly.
Yeah. And he's not that far off.
It's like imagine you're a hitter in baseball. You're like, yeah, I want my batting average to be like 450 this year.
Yeah.
Like
He's like, I was hitting 50% for a while. Like, that shit. Like, so, yeah, he's.
For anyone else, that would be great. Here's Leon saying that's nothing, eh? All right. Quarterfinal number 2, also very interesting. I think Trentino has.
Yeah.
I think Trentino's very good. I think they're very talented. I think they've come back to earth a little bit.
Yeah. Because they had that incredible start to the season. Like, I mean, I had them in the playoffs. I think I had them in the back half of the playoffs in the Italian league, maybe 5th place, 6th place. But a lot of people, weren't that high on the team. For me, the dynamic of that team changed during Eurovolley when we saw, like Daniel Lavia is really, really good. Alessandro Micheletto's like top 20 outside hitter in the world. Like,
top 20? Top 5.
Micheletto, top 5?
Top 10 for sure.
Top 10, yeah.
Top 10 for sure.
Okay.
But like he was a top 5 scorer at Nations League last year. Led them to a European championship. Right? Yeah, other people showed up, but he was the most consistent guy.
Who won MVP?
What?
Who won MVP?
Who did?
Gianelli.
Okay, yeah. But, so like, yeah. I do think they're very good, but I do think that they're missing that guy. And I think we saw it with Berlin that they have that ability to kind of come up at any point. They've got a lot of good leadership with Papa Grankin leading the show and Ben Patch. If Ben Patch is the Ben Patch that we expect, they're a world-class team. Because if Ben Patch is the Ben Patch that we expect, he's hands down one of the most physical opposites in the world. And in the conversation, like just pure physicality and what he has the ability to do, he's a top 5 opposite in the world. But he's
a top 5 opposite in the world 10% of the time.
Yes, exactly. Right?
And the other 90% he's like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Great player. Great guy, but
great player, great guy. I feel like I could if me and Ben Patch did a podcast together.
Oh, it'd be amazing. Yeah.
It would be amazing because I feel like he's a phenomenal person who's very interested in who does like he's so much more than just volleyball.
Yeah.
Right. But if he's not there, then I mean, hey, if Johann Schopp didn't go on that serving run, like they were down 0-2 in that first match against DSP, like it could have been very different for them, right? So I don't know. I think Berlin can push Trentino, especially for the first match. You know what I think? I'm going to call Berlin match 1, and Trentino is going to take the series in match 2.
Interesting.
Berlin
Okay.
in 5 in match 1, and then Trentino will take it in 3 or 4 in the next match.
Both of those, hopefully they have good capacity for those crowds because both are really fun environments too.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Like I wish I saw a match in Berlin because I've heard so many good things about the what's the arena called?
Max
Schmeling-Halle.
Max Schmeling-Halle. Yeah.
And Sergei Grankin, I mean, obviously a legendary setter, but he's like, I feel like he's almost had like one of his better years. Like this year, like he's been having great connections with the entire team. Like this is probably one of the storylines like I would have least expected. Sergei Grankin plays his entire career in Russia, kind of almost an afterthought in his last couple of seasons in the Russian league, has his complete revitalized career in Berlin of all clubs, gets along super well with the young guys, emerges as like team leader on the team that everyone loves. They're like he gets along so well with everyone, and really has a connection on the both in volleyball and off the court. So I love to see the Sergei Grankin. It almost feels like he was being his personality was almost a bit limited in Russia. Now he's getting to express himself a little more.
Yeah, hey, you're not wrong. And I mean, from what I hear, Berlin is a bit of a fun city. It's probably different. It's probably different than living some places in Russia.
A little bit different than Novosibirsk, I would imagine.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But hey, I mean, I think we're both calling for an all-Italian semifinal here between Perugia and Trentino, but still, I think both these first matchups are pretty spicy. Moving on to number 3, you've got hands down the biggest gimme, I would say. I don't rate JW all that high. I think Lube has the team, they have the roster, even with Wantayana, who's been dealing with injuries all year, it has been out. We've seen Yant step up massively. You know what? I think Zaitsev is coming back into form. You think Hadrava is going to go off for JW? I really don't see them being able to fight with Lube. Yeah,
probably not. And I mean, I guess my expectations for Ystrepje this year were extremely high, right? Like they were poised to be a really good team, and they beat the only team that beat Zaxa last year in the Polish Plus Liga finals. And I don't know, this year just whatever magic that they're still really good. They're still 15-3 in the Polish league. They're still one of the best teams. But yeah, I guess I don't know. They've lost a little. They've lost a little of the magic, which is surprising when you have Ben Toniutti coming to the team. You'd think, okay, this is gonna push them over the edge. But sometimes in volleyball, like you just have the right combination of guys at the right time. But Lube is the better team. But I think Jastrzębski, this is around the time last year. Like we wrote them off last year as well. Like no one expected them to beat Zaxa in that Polish league final. So I think there's still a chance for them to, like, this is okay. We saw Lube struggle last year, almost get out of the Champions League, did get out of the Champions League as well around this time against a Polish club.
But didn't they but they lost to Zaxa, and I mean that was in that quarterfinal against Zaxa last year was phenomenal. I remember. You weren't around because you, of course, were in Europe, but some of the voice chats we have for those were some of my most favorite moments on the Discord. But I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see it for JW this year. I really don't. I mean, last year you do have, like, who did they have on the right side last year? Why am I blanking on his name? The guy who plays for Belgorod, the big
Mohamed Al-Hajtadi.
Yeah, they had Al-Hajtadi. Like Al-Hajtadi against Hadrava. Like Al-Hajtadi has the ability to go off. You know.
See, I like Hadrava because I'm
not gonna lie. I like Hadrava.
I talked to him a lot of times at Eurovolley. Great guy.
I think the Hadrava slander is wrong, and we should stop it.
But okay, he is overmatched for a Champions League like top option team. Yes. Yeah. I'll give him that.
You're right. And I mean, I think Toniutti is a great addition to that team, but I just don't think JW has around them structurally.
But Kleveno, Fornal, Yuri Gladier, like on paper, this is so that's like on paper. It's, I mean, if Hadrava just has a good series, because we've seen it before. There were a couple of games for Czech Republic. He's kind of like who were you talking about earlier? He's kind of like Patch, right? Like
absolutely,
like
100%.
Some of the time, Hadrava looks like one of the top opposites in the world. Now, if Patch is 10% of the time, Hadrava is 2% of the time, but that's a chance. He has it in him.
You're not wrong, and I do think so too, as well. But still, when you're talking about guys like Fornal and Klevno and Yuri Glider, to me, all of those guys are A- players.
You mean A- player was the best player on the Olympic champions? Yeah,
okay, Klevno a little bit more, but Yuri Glider with Fornal, they're just a step down, just a step down. And no, I really don't see them fighting up against the Lube. Like, do you think Checo is going to let that happen? Like, do you think Simone is going to be going to be happy with it?
No, and they're kind of like Vacuum Bank. They're like, man, last year was should have been ours. Last year we should have won it. That's why we brought in Zaitsev. That's why we're locked in this season. But I think they'll win. But I think Jastrzębski might take 3-4 sets total.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we'll give you that.
How's the chat doing, by the way?
Chat's doing pretty good. Tommy's gone. Bye, Tommy.
Okay.
See you later. Yeah.
No worries if there's nothing.
We got some good things in. Now looking at the final quarterfinal, I think this one is hands down the spiciest. This one is the fun one, and I can't call it because Zaxa is not the team they were last year. Yes, they did just get that fantastic win over Lube, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Lube knew they were already through. They already won the pool. Zaxa was playing for them. It really didn't matter for Lube. It mattered a whole bunch to Zaxa.
And something I think I've learned is I never take too much stock in that kind of match.
No, never.
Because volleyball players will like the difference between them trying hard and sandbagging is huge. And,
massive.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. Optically, it might not look that different, but
exactly.
Optically, it might be like, oh yeah, they're playing hard, but internally, it's just like
exactly.
It's so close in volleyball that if you just turn if you're not with it for if you're half a step behind because internally, hey, this match doesn't matter. We won the pool. We're moving on regardless. Then you're not going to be there.
It was similar when I watched France Eurovolley this fall, and you could tell yeah, exactly. Optically, they looked really good. You're like, damn, Engapet's diving across the court for this ball, and like, wow, Grebennikov is making this incredible save, but just, the little tiny, they didn't stretch quite enough for a block. They, one serve sailed a few feet out of bounds that maybe shouldn't have gone out of bounds as a float serve. So that kind of thing does make a huge difference.
Yeah, and so for me, like, I think Dynamo Moscow that's a dangerous roster. I don't think they're nearly as dominant as they were last season.
No, but last season was maybe a flash in the pan a bit, because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they're those players are ever going to play that well again. But
you're not wrong. Like, it was fun to watch. It really sucks that last year Zenit Kazan was in Champions League and Dynamo Moscow was out. Whereas it's flipped around this year. How Zenit Kazan has been playing so well.
Undefeated or one loss in the Russian league, something like that.
Yeah, only the one loss in Russian league, and they're like, now that Modena out, especially out of the CEV Cup, like, who's going to be up against them? Like, tools? Like, no, come on. I like Kevin Tilley, and I think that team has been doing some awesome things, but I don't think they're going to be doing anything serious.
Yeah, well, I think the wings from Moscow, like, I was a little skeptical of the level that Semishev and Podast played at last year. Good players, but like, they were like playing like absolutely elite volleyball. They were
playing like superstars.
Like, freaking Sam Daru was on the bench for Semishev. I'm like, okay, I get, like, if you look at the numbers this year, it makes sense, but like, really, like Sam Daru is the better player for me. But
yeah, hey, you're not wrong. But yeah, I think this one is going to be real interesting. Like, I think for me, even more so than losing Toniutti, I think losing Kokonovsky was a massive shot to Zaxa.
Well, think about his clutch moments, like when, like, against the Zenit Kazan last year in that series, like the what was that block against Engapet? Like, yeah, man. And
I think that like, Kokonovsky might be one of the most underrated players in the world, to be perfectly honest. And after the way I've watched him affect Zaxa last year, and I think that his consistency in the middle and the way he approaches, he's so quick, and he's always there. He always gives you that opportunity. And because he's a smaller middle, he hits right above the tape. So when you're up against Huber, like, Huber, his contact point's way higher than Kokonovsky, but you need to wait for that ball to get up there. And at an elite level, it's way easier for middle blockers to just be loaded and ready. And like, if you're going up against like a 7-footer on the other side, all I need to do is put my hands up and jump a little, and I'm going to be blocking it with you. But against Kokonovsky, you need to be a full commit on him, because as soon as that ball is above the tape, he's going for it.
Plus, Kokonovsky and Toniutti was beautiful. I mean, how many? This is the term I like in basketball. Like, what was the bag? What was their bag? Right? Like, what was the bag of Tony? They probably had like 12 different middle runs they ran, like, each match. Like, it was like unbelievable.
Their bag of plays was just unreal. And, I know that it really changed for me once I had a conversation with Ben Josephson, and we were talking about recruiting, and he goes, I always look for middles first. Middles are the first thing I recruit, because you center your offense around them. For me, it's very much like running a running back in football.
Okay, yeah. I like
they're
the
going to open things up for you quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that's what I think you saw with that Zaxa team last year, and Toniutti recognized that. Didn't really matter who was in that second spot, whether it was David Smith or Ragnar or whatever it is. But with Kokonovsky, they could run that offense. And running that offense with Kokonovsky just allowed everything to flow that much smoother and just to be outside. But that's why I'm not sure, like we saw that incredible showdown of Lube and Zaxa last year in the quarterfinals, but I think if that happens again in the semis, I would put my money on Lube for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, exactly. Kokonovsky was so important to them. Yeah, Shoji's been great for them. I think Martin Giannis, like, I think people are realizing, okay, maybe if he wasn't recognized outside Poland before, now he's getting a lot of the recognition that he deserves, because he is. And like, I think he should have been Poland's starting setter during, the Olympics and Eurovolley last year. But yeah, Moscow with Sokolov, Larry Kermanen. I mean, maybe I would say Moscow's weaker on the outsides probably, but yeah, Pavel Pankov too, one of my favorite players to watch.
Pankov, yeah. He's my second favorite setter after TJ Sanders, but
after TJ Sanders, nice.
But yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, ultimately, what's your call for the semis and what's your call for the finals here?
Okay. Okay, I think semifinals is going to be Moscow, Lube, And
Moscow Lube.
Moscow versus Lube, yeah.
You're calling Moscow over Zaxa?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Because, Zaxa, legendary season last year. Legendary. But they haven't been the best Champions League team traditionally. They've been really good in the Plusliga, but a lot of they've had their fair share of quarterfinal losses in the Champions League. I think, I think that team last year was like the combination of 100 different factors which made them as good as they were, and I think they've lost 30 of them this year. So I'm not as confident in them this year, even though they're still dominating in Poland.
Yeah, but the defending champs. B, they just beat Lube.
Beat Lube, that wasn't trying. And defending champs missing what, 4 players that they were last year? Who, by the way,
2.
Kownowski, Zatorski, Tonyudi.
Okay, 3. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So 3 of their best players.
Okay, yeah.
and B, think about all of what happened that needed for them to get to the Champions League, win the Champions League last year. Like how many golden sets did we play? How many
true.
How many absolutely insane moments against Zenit Kazan and against Lube needed to happen? They really got by the skin of the teeth, which we kind of forget now because it's a year later, but that sequence of events, even though they deserve the title, probably happens 5% of the time.
Okay, yeah. Now that I look back on it, you're right, because they did go to the golden set against Lube, and they did go to a golden set against Zenit Kazan. I mean,
which both teams, I believe, definitely Zenit Kazan had match points.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They lost.
Didn't Kazan have multiple?
Yeah.
Get something in my eye here. But yeah. Oh, okay. And then in the finals, what are you going with? Lube, Perugia?
I think this is Lube's year. I know Perugia's ahead of them. The standings probably played a bit better, but also we know Lube's had all this weird stuff with Zaitsev, had injuries to start the season. They haven't played with their full roster a ton, and I think Zaitsev is kind of gaining momentum as we're going. So I think even though I'm a huge Wilfredo Leon fan, so I really want him to get one outside of Zenit Kazan because I think that really helps as a legacy. But I mean, Lube has been there before. They've won Champions League before. They have Dicheko now. It's a pretty ridiculous team.
I don't know. I disagree. I think it's going to be Perugia. I think it's going to be Perugia Lube in the finals. I first of all, I think it's going to be Perugia Trentino, Lube Zaxa. That's what I think the
So we're the same except Zaxa Moscow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I agree.
I'm going for Zaxa in that. But then I'm calling Perugia in this one. Lube has been there before. They won back in 2019. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
They won the Scudetto last year in Italy. And I think that Perugia just has the roster to do it this year. When you've got Matt Anderson and Rich Licky.
So, here's a question, though. What are the starting lineups for both teams?
So here's the thing, is that I think Perugia's roster is very much set. They have the ability to go elsewhere, right? But you're going Rich Licky on the side, Leon and Anderson, and you got Plotnitsky coming off the bench. I think.
It's been their lineup the whole year, pretty much.
That's what it is. On the Lube side of things, is a little bit different. Is Juantarena healthy, right? How does that look?
That's a question. Do you where Yant is having he's clearly next up as one of the stars of volleyball.
Oh, he's very much next up. Right?
So do you fit him in somehow? Can you fit him in with Juantarena and Leal?
I think especially at this point in the season. Well, we also have to see, right? Because of scheduling, we've got the quarterfinals coming up, the semifinals shortly after that, right? Basically they're all done by the end of March, early April, and then we have to wait till the end of May.
A month,
for,
yeah. I remember that, yeah.
Almost 2 months.
Yeah.
For this a month and a half for the finals, right? So, right, what happens in that timeline? I think that at that point, I think you still go with Yant, but you have Juantarena come off the bench because
I think the when push comes to shove, they're gonna go with what they trust and what they know.
But
and that's Juantarena.
It.
Yeah, but the last how long has Juantarena been in Lube? 5 years.
Yeah.
He's won them a Champions League before. He's won them how many Scudettos? Is Juan Torino really? I know they're both. I don't know what their relationship is like on off the court, but like, is he really going to be like, I'm going to like sacrifice myself, even though I was Finals MVP 3 years ago? You know, am I really going to like
3 years?
It's not that long.
In volleyball, especially in the COVID world, like, you know.
But I mean, Juan Torino was still playing at a elite level like last year. Like it hasn't been.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. He's still very much elite, but I think it's going to be. I think it's difficult sometimes to go between that, because ultimately, if you're looking like Lube, I think Yant signed a multi-year contract with Lube, right? So you want to look towards the future, right? I think like someone like Gabby Garcia clearly isn't ready to be on the court in that situation. That's why we've seen him struggle, especially early on. So it's going to be Zaitsev no matter what. But Yant, I think, is a much different story.
But also, you're playing a team like Perugia, and you're playing in super finals where you have, by the way, you have an entire month to scout the opponent. You know, or do you think they're just, when you have someone a little weaker on the reception like Yant, are they just going to be able to pick them apart, or what's going to go on?
I don't know.
Because sometimes at that level, it's not about your strength; it's about your weaknesses.
This is true. So I do think, and like we've seen from Yant, like I think Lube just like lost him. Did Lube lose a match recently? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember. Did they lose to Trentino?
I believe they did. Was it a 5-setter they lost recently?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I remember watching them, and like Yant was getting served off the court.
I feel like we're at that point in the season where just the matches are starting to run together a little bit.
That's exactly what it is right now.
They beat Ravenna, they beat Valencia.
They went to 5. They went to 5 against Trentino,
but they won, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I remember.
Yeah, no, nothing recently in terms of losses. Perugia, they lost to Perugia, but that was in December. So a long time ago.
Well, there you go. They lost to Perugia. Your super finals preview there, Everett.
Hey, I think Perugia is a better team this year. I think Perugia is a very, very good team this year. Like you've got all of the pieces, right? All of the question marks that you had last year. No more Heinen. You've got Gerbich, right? Huge upgrade.
Difference.
Huge upgrade.
Huge
there.
upgrade. Huge.
No more Tragica. You've got Gianelli. Huge upgrade.
That's true.
There. Right? You don't have the revolving door of right sides because your setter's a geriatric who can't put the ball higher than 1.5 meters, right? You've got, I'm going to say this here, Rich Licky is the most dependable right side in volleyball.
He's kind of like, he reminds me of Łukasz Kaczmarek.
Oh.
Better, a little bit. But, I mean, Łukasz, he's very good too.
I think.
But they're solid. They don't go outside the role. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They just get it done within the offense. They don't demand the most sets.
I think Kaczmarek can impose himself in a game much more than Rich Licky can, but Rich Licky is the best at doing with what he's given. You know, like he's never going to be the guy on the roster who's going to lead your team game after game and game in points, but he's always going to be putting up positive numbers for them. Right? We saw it when he was with Lube. And we're seeing it now when he's with Perugia. I mean, he's also benefited by being on absolutely elite teams. Like if he's going home to play for the national team of Luxembourg, you know, which like you probably could have like suited up for them while you were there. He's not going off the way he is because he's being keyed on, right? He's very much benefiting off the fact that the attention is elsewhere, but he still puts up numbers and has been putting up numbers for a long time.
Rich Licky, 40% hitting efficiency in Italy this year.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad, but
like that. But like he doesn't, need to be more. He goes out there and puts up points.
Do you think? Well, he probably wants it to be more.
Of course he does.
I guess he doesn't need it to be more when you have the other options on that team. But he's a very good player. I like Rich Licky, and a guy from Luxembourg. How about that? Making it on the highest level.
Making it on the highest level. I love how some of these small countries just have these random right sides. Like
it's always the right side. Like always the right side.
Because that's what it is. Like you just find that one guy and you're just gonna feed him a lot of balls. Like Alhach Daddy is another one.
Yeah. I feel like Hungary always has like Arpad Barotti and a few other guys.
There's Paul Buchkegger,
the Austrian guy.
Yeah.
It's always the right side.
I think this is just like what it's like the first position that you're gonna put your bag eggs in the basket.
Australia had Thomas Edgar, Paul Carrier.
Canada had friggin' Gavin Schmidt. That was the only thing before we started getting other guys around it. So yeah, always. It's funny because I was making a list of we're having that debate because Rob. What? Go ahead.
But it is right side the lowest skill position.
Yes.
It is. So. That's why.
Absolutely.
Not to take anything away because it's also like one of the most athletically demanding positions, but
100%. But in terms of, I think for me it's like middle or setter and then middle, and then
libero
and left side and then libero.
They're all pretty tough except for right side.
Except for right side.
Sorry to all the right sides watching
you just
this.
Sit there and front and back, in front and back, in front and back. Serve receive, nah. Defense, we'll let you get away with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're not wrong. All right, so you're calling a Lube win. I'm calling a Perugia win.
Let's see. Let's get together before the Superfinals. Do another one of these.
Yeah. We definitely should. Is there anything else we want to talk about in terms of Champions League?
No, but I feel like my opinion's going to change a lot in like the next, like when the domestic league playoffs start.
Yeah,
I feel like that's when you see like the real, like toward this kind of time in the regular season, this things start to drop off. Also, we're going to see some good stuff, some good previews in the Italian Cup. What, next weekend? 2 weekends from now?
Ooh,
March 5th, 6th. Yeah. So we're definitely going to have a good Lube Perugia match then.
Isn't that the finals?
No, the semis and finals, I believe, right?
Oh yeah. And like Modena is out already.
Yeah,
wait, no, didn't Lube lose too?
Oh, true, yeah, because there was some weird.
Lube lost,
okay,
and Modena lost in the Italian Cup finals.
Okay, well, never mind then. Damn it.
So that's why I think I think this is Perugia's like year to lose.
True, Milano, Trentino, Piacenza, Perugia. Lube lost to Milano. That was when they had
Trentino was just in this period of time of like of like just being the bridesmaids, other than the Supercoppa at the beginning of the season, right? Which they won, I believe, was against Piacenza or was against Monte? It was against Piacenza. Other than the Supercoppa at the beginning of the season, like they finished second at the Champions League last year, and they're probably going to finish second in the CEV Cup this year. And like they're just, it seems like they're always just underneath the cusp. I mean, we've had so many years of Trentino dominance and legacy in the 2010s that this rebuilding period that they have would be a top-notch period for most other clubs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, but like Trentino's a club that kind of like because they're like youth club is so dominant. Like Trentino's like the hub of youth volleyball in Italy. Like this is where like Ginelli, like Lonzo, like okay, Lonzo's not that good anymore, but like this is where all these guys come from.
His hair, though. He still has hair.
So we're a little jealous of that. But yeah, that's what like I think that creates like all this really like strong culture in Trentino where like and like you could tell like a lot of these guys were ready. They just needed a little bit more opportunity. And like they're still really young. And I love Riccardo Spertoli. I think he was like maybe a bit underrated before the season because people overlooked Milano a bit. But yeah, they're a fun team to watch. Hopefully they can stay fun. I think the two middle staying was huge because both those guys easily could have left. And, if it wasn't for Micheletto, I think maybe they would have left. Because I remember we were interviewing Lizanach at Eurovolley, and he was like just talking up Micheletto so much. He's like, man, this guy like came out of nowhere training camp. Like he like grew like 3 inches during the season. Like so much fun to play with. Like it's a good story.
Micheletto is truly one of the biggest unicorns we've ever seen in volleyball.
Yeah.
And his trajectory since the beginning of last year has been phenomenal. Remember last year at the beginning of the year, Trentino's qualifying for Champions League. The only reason that they did is because they had to play Dinamo Moscow, who was without Sokolov at the time. And then they squeaked through. But remember, like Dick Coy was injured, Lucarelli was having a terrible.
Yeah.
And like we were just praising Micheletto for being like an average player on the court. And fast forward a year and a half, and he's like, I consider him one of the top players in the world.
Well, he's just added like so many things to his game that he needed to add. Like he had the defense, like that was the thing, right? He was like a tall guy that could block, and he was like a really good receiver. Like, okay, wow, like how many 6'11", 7 foot like receiving outsides are there in volleyball? None. But then he added the attacking, and then he added the serving, and then he like fixed his blocking, and now he like plays like really good back row defense as well. And like, wow, he just added hitting to his game.
Yeah,
some people don't like for the entire career.
It's what happens when basically a libero gets a magic bean and sprouts overnight. It just sounds like essentially what happened.
But Lisanach told us that beginning of last season till the end, he grew like 3 centimeters.
That's insane.
I remember the first time I heard about Michieletto was on Instagram Live with Micah Christensen and Kavika Shoji when they like I think it was the beginning of COVID when they're and I asked him like in the chat like, oh, like which young player is in the league, like do you think this is preseason 2020? And he's like, man, there's this like a kid on Trentino who's like ridiculous, like he's super tall. And the other player he mentioned was he's like, oh yeah, there's this like like Belarus guy that's like crushing balls against us, and I have no idea who he was. This is Uladislav Daviskiba. That was the other guy.
Daviskiba.
I was like, wow, Micah Christensen. Yeah, I mean, not surprising that he called both those players. But
I want to talk about Daviskiba in a second, but it's weird when you like look at the prototype of player that Michieletto is. We've never really had anyone like him in volleyball. A tall lefty like that who's playing on the left side. Like if you think of like tall lefties that we've had in the past, like I think of like Michael Lasko, Poletayev, like lefties have always been like an Angel Dennis type. They're like a little bit shifty or
Kovacevic.
Kovacevic, like they've got the weird, like they've got weird arm swings that just kind of like squeak.
Yeah, exactly.
Micheletto's arm swing is textbook. He's a big monster and he crushes balls now. Like,
but he can afford to because he's just hitting over everyone. Like he doesn't have to get through the ball; he just goes over them.
And his mechanics are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Too. But here's a question that Rob and I have been discussing a little bit on the 9x9 now, and I want to get your opinion on it because you brought us on to some of these players. But for me, there's 3. Actually, no, I'm gonna make it a foursome. There's 4 young players right now in Super League.
I know who you're gonna say already. Yeah.
Who do you put your money at? Like who?
Wait, I know 3. I know 3. I want to know who the 4th is though.
So I've got Michieletto.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I've got Rock Mosic, of course, which finally you are you are forever.
Oh my
for
god.
So long. I said it on the 9x9 is that like I feel like Rock Mosic is like 25 at this point because of how much and for how long you've been talking about him. You've got Daviskiba as the third. Daviskiba has been lighting things up for Monza.
You're putting Daviskiba with those guys.
Absolutely. Have you seen Daviskiba's numbers this year?
Well,
they've been insane, especially with Grosjean being injured. Like he has been carrying that Monza team.
Daviskiba is another guy that I've been talking about for a really long time as well.
So yeah, Daviskiba, and the 4th one is Yant.
Okay, so oh man. So I have to rank them or what?
Who are you building a team around? Like this is the Pokemon question. Like you walk in and Professor Oak has these 4 players lined up for you. Who are you picking?
I think I'm gonna go with The Rock.
You going with The Rock?
I'm going with The Rock because I got to see him play a ton, and Michieletto actually. I got to see all their matches at Eurovolley, all the warm-ups, all their practices. Technically, Micheletto's better. But I think you could say that for almost anyone coming through the Italian system. There's going to be technically better players. That's what Italy does. They have one of the best youth training programs in the world. But I've never seen, like, even more than Wilfredo Leon was. I've never seen a more athletic player than Rock, I think. In person, it's like he is crushed. Like if the net was at the top of the antenna, he's like hitting over that. Like he was crushing balls like harder than anyone I've ever seen. Like in my life, like it was almost like he didn't even look on the same planet as like the other volleyball players, including guys on like the Polish national team, including guys on the Italian national team. Technically, he isn't there, but like if you guys can see Rock Mosic play in person, go to his hitting lines. Go, like it's actually someone you have to watch in person to appreciate. And I've watched like 20 games of Wilfredo Leon in person. Like I've seen Wilfredo Leon, but he's still the best player, still the GOAT. Does other things way better than Rock, obviously. But just that pure athleticism is absolutely bonkers. And I think once he figures some other stuff out, like he's the leading scorer in Italy right now. I think once he figures, like next year, he's going to bring some more stuff to his game, can like learn a bit more, have some more block awareness, and game over.
For me, it too is what does it look like when he goes to a real club? Like, what's like is how long is his contract up at Verona, and who is going to try? Because you're not telling me that every top club in the world right now is not looking at Rock Mozic being like, do we have room for this kid? Can we afford him? You know, like does he work into our plans? Because like for me, if you're not going, like if we're talking about young players right now in the world, you have to be either going for one of those players, and we're going to add TJ DeFalco in there because he's been lighting it up in the Plus Liga.
Yeah, but he's a little older than those guys.
Is he? Oh yeah, I guess you're right too.
All those guys are like 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
2002.
DeFalco,
like 97.
DeFalco would be a little bit older.
Yeah.
Just having played 4 years of university.
Well, I also scout Davi Skiba all his Belarus games at Eurovolley.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, maybe he's gotten better since then. I haven't watched a ton of him this year, or like watched a few games, but not maybe as much. But I would say extremely talented, extremely athletic, but I would still put him on a lower tier than those three guys. And I haven't seen Yant at all play in person, so.
Oh, I've seen Yant play for Cuba.
Oh, true, yeah.
He's next up.
Okay.
He's really truly next up, especially for Cuba. And if Ronnie's in the chat right now, Ronnie's clearly not in the chat right now because the chat would be flooded. But yeah, no, I think Yant is definitely next up, and I mean I think you're seeing that with Lube. Lube is Mishi has better Polish efficiency than Rock so far, but Rock has less help. And more attempts.
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah, that's actually exactly right.
And I think Mikolo's better right now than Rock, but that wasn't the question. The question was who would I build around?
Who you build around?
Yeah.
I'm going with Mikolo.
The one question mark with Rock, and I think that would this entire thing would depend on, is his service, because we've seen with other athletes in hitters of his caliber and like body type and stuff that usually they become elite servers as well, but that's not there yet with Rock, so we'd still need to see.
But that's also a tantalizing thing, you know. It's like a fucking
if he adds that,
it's like a Giannis who can't hit 3-pointers. You know, or Embiid now who's hitting the step backs now that Harden's come around, right?
But like
you can add that to your game. You go to a Trentino or a Lube, a Perugia, they're going to work with you on that. And
he has to get picked up by a better club next year, like
100%.
I haven't even seen it. I'm surprised there hasn't been any like noise about it yet.
Yeah, well, I have heard, and I mean maybe this is just the Discord popping off, but I did hear some rumblings about Lube looking at him.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, once he adds that serve, but like. Also, what caliber of hitter can't serve? Like is like we know Patch, I guess, but he's not that level.
Man, poor Ben Patch. It takes so much abuse.
I mean, if Patch could serve like that, he would be like way higher.
I still think that like physically and like pure ability, like if you're talking top end ability, Patch is all world. But as you said, like his ability to, you know, like he's the complete opposite of Maxim Mikhailov.
Yeah,
Maxim Mikhailov like squeezes every bit of water out of everything that he can, and that's why he's been one of the GOATs for so long.
Yeah. Whereas
Patch just kind of comes in these spurts.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty much all we've got for CEV Champions League. Anything you want to do you have any announcements?
I guess my only announcement just gonna start creating content again, taking a bit of a break.
Let's go!
So keep posted. Hopefully have Everett on for a couple things. Hopefully get some videos out as well. So yeah, had to take a bit of a break here, move back to a new country, but we're all settled. We're ready to go.
Yeah, back in the six.
Good time to start too. We have playoffs starting. We have Champions Leagues coming back. Then we get right into national team season. I'm pretty excited for World Championships.
Yeah. World Championships. Are you planning on going?
No. I'm not going to Russia. You have to get a visa for Russia, don't you?
We'll get the FiveOneVB to pay for it. Volleyball World.
Maybe.
What's up? Hire us. You want someone who actually knows what they're talking about? This is these guys here. Ottawa VNL though.
Yes. Yeah,
Ottawa
for sure. Let's do that.
I think I think like serious conversations need to be had about how many. Like we need to start doing the rounds now because I think we could like do a Discord meetup with like have people come in, from everywhere. Like Poland's going to be in that group. Italy's going to be in that group. Like let's bring in the troops from around the world. So this is the official call to. I know we've talked about it, but if you guys want to come to Ottawa VNL, end of May, early June, I forget the actual dates. Come hang out and let's make it a party.
I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it.
Great. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Oh, look who comes onto the chat board. Just as we're signing off, Mr. Cuban Spike himself. Only St. Clair's missing. You're not wrong. I think St. Clair's in.
We got to get the three of us together.
That's when we're in Ottawa finally. That's gonna be good for sure. Make it like a bar stool situation.
Yeah, exactly.
We all just sit around and drink beers and talk shit about volleyball. Ronnie, you need to come too.
All right. Well, Everett, thank you.
All right. Thanks, dude.
Good podcast.
Good to have you back in the country.
Of course.
Good to see you again. We're going to have to do this way more now that we live. What was it? Was it like 20 minutes by subway to get here?
Yeah, about that. Not bad.
Sick. All right, guys. Make sure you check out the Champions League quarterfinals. They're going to be starting next week.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. They're going to be starting next week for the men and the women. If you want to check out the last episode of the Volleyball Source podcast, did a great one with Mr. Ronnie Cuban Spike himself to talk about everything Cuban volleyball. Have you checked that one out yet?
I did watch part of it, yeah.
And it's a lot of good information there.
Yeah, it was a cool podcast, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of like little anecdotes and like stuff I would never have, yeah.
Like stories about Simone raving at Tomorrowland and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
the one about like, who was it, Lopez hitting?
Yeah, that story of Lopez hitting basketballs is nuts. I still need to clip that out and put that up. And then of course, if you haven't checked out the latest episode of the 9x9, check that out as well too on YouTube and all podcast platforms. You can check that one out live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Maybe we need to get you involved now that you're in the right time zone.
Call me up.
All right.
I'm in.
All right, cool. All right, peace, guys. We'll see you later. Have a good one.